You know, you get to College Station quicker than you used to. It's just spread out more and more, isn't it? And driving in from Caldwell yesterday, gosh, I just couldn't get over the Rellis campus and coming in that way. To see the growth is amazing. It's encouraging to be on campus around all these students. I mean, the biggest student population in the country. It's, you know, what a credit to our school. The School of Performance, Design, Visual Arts. I mean, performance didn't exist when I was in school in the 70s here at A&M. I mean, there was the Fighting Texas Aggie Band, which is always a great thing to behold. But to be able to be, you know, to drop in and to hear about a program for performance, it's really encouraging from my point of view. And because it was right here at Texas A&M, and with my involvement in the MSc committees, in the Student Programs Office, the basement committee, which is now called Coffee House, as I understand. But it was right there that I started getting my education in music. So to be able to come back and to see how the growth and how the program has, you know, been started and progresses, it's just, I just find it all very exciting and really encouraging.
Can you tell us what it is you were doing today in the classroom?
Yeah, you know, I sat in a class last night with the professor known simply as Campbell, and it was the class was History of Rock, and I really just talked about my experience, and I was curious, curious about the students themselves. So I was able to ask the students how many of them were in the class just out of general interest, how many of them were musicians, how many of them were performers or wanted to be performers, and I really just ended up having a nice discussion with them.
What did you learn from that experience?
You know, well, I learned that there are, you know, lots of bright young minds who are already very accomplished and very interested in the subject matter and interested in learning how to do things the right way. And you know, when you see that among young people, that's really encouraging.
What were your takeaways from their responses?
You know, my takeaway from their responses is that they were being very thoughtful and that they were knowledgeable. One young man who was also a student worker knew his stuff when it came to his audio gear, and you know, and mixes shows for the town hall committee. I mean, just seemed like an absolute pro already, and you know, that's a wonderful thing to see.
What is it about that experience that you wish you would have had as a student?
Well, you know, I got to have some of that experience working with the basement coffee house committee. It was a small committee. We were a small organization that did small shows, but very consistently. And there were few of us enough that we could work as much as we wanted to. And we were always looking for folks to help with the Friday and Saturday night shows. We were always looking for folks to help with the Friday and Saturday night shows. We had shows every Friday and Saturday night from 8 until 12. And we programmed 30-minute sets. It was mainly a forum for student performers, but we had enough budget that we were able to bring in professional musicians 2 or 3 times a year, and that was always an enlightening experience. So I did, even though there wasn't a department like this then, in those days, I was able to have a lot of hands-on experience before I started performing. You know, that was in 1975. 1976, and it was the summer of 1976. Well, it was actually the spring of 1976 that I played my first set in front of an audience at the Basement Coffee House. But it was really the summer of 1976 that I got my first job playing, and from then on, I started performing every week somewhere. I had regular gigs here around town, and being able to play consistently, being able to have that kind of reputation in those days, it was invaluable.
Can you share what are you doing in your personal life now? You back on tour, and you released an album a couple of years ago. What's next for you?
Yeah, more touring this year. More touring. I'm always writing songs, and when I get enough songs for my next album, I'll stop and record them. But I tour. I make a living touring, really, and I tour. We play my band and I, or some of my songwriter friends and I, different combinations. I play 100 to 110 dates a year. The last couple of years, to make up for the pandemic and not being able to play at all, I played a few more than that. But things are settling out this year. We'll play about 100 dates, and I get to work with some of the best musicians in the history of the music business, and they are always inspiring to me. To be able, and that's what I experienced last night among these students, these bright minds. When you're in a room or on a stage with smart and talented people, they always lift you up. They always make you better. They make you want to be better, and inspire you every time. And that's what I get to experience when I step on stage with Russ Kunkel playing drums, and Jim Cox playing piano, and Leland Sklar playing bass. With Brad Lely, who's the professor of saxophone at the University of North Texas when he plays alto. It's with Charles Rose, who's a charter member of the Muscle Shoals Horns. To feel their lifetimes of experience applied to my songs is the best feeling in the world.
There is reportedly a concert that could be coming to Kyle Field this summer with Mr. George Strait, Parker McCollum. What are your thoughts when you hear that A&M is utilizing that stadium as a place to bring this superstar power to that field for country music fans?
Well, I think to accommodate George Strait and Parker McCollum's audience, it takes a great stadium like Kyle Field, with the capacity of Kyle Field. Kyle Field is just one of the greatest stadiums in the world, and I think it's really fitting that King George would come here and play. George is such a gentleman, and I've worked with George over the years, and he's always been so kind to me. I would love for him to stand in the middle of Kyle Field and hear the Aggies support him. I'd love to see his reaction when he hears 100,000 people, give him a thumbs up and whoop all at once. I just would love to see his reaction.
Just need to get you in there now.
Well, that's they don't come any better than George. And Parker McCollum's having such great success. That sounds like a wonderful, wonderful bill.
Do you have any other stops on your visit here today around campus?
I get to go. I get to go to a class this afternoon. A class that's it's called Guitar Heroes. So I'm curious to go and to learn something there as well. But I'm just enjoying being here on campus and getting to see facilities. I'll get to see the recording studio set up for the department. And